Camille Carter looked exhausted standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling mirror in what was supposed to be her bedroom, staring at a woman she didn't recognize. Designer silk robe that cost more than her entire college tuition. Diamond earrings heavy enough to feel like chains. She'd been married to Baek Hyun-tae for 1 week. 1 week since she sold her life just to save her only brother. 7 days of discovering what it meant to belong to someone who didn't understand the concept of restraint. Who looked at her like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning his entire life. Her phone buzzed. Another text from her brother Williams. "Camille, you good? You haven't called. I'm worried about you." She'd gotten him out. That's all that mattered. The charges were dropped, the gang connections erased. Williams was safe, back at Howard University and living the life he deserved instead of rotting in a Korean prison for crimes he didn't commit. All it cost was her. The bedroom door opened without warning. Her new husband, Hyun-tae, stood there, immaculate in tailored black pants and a white shirt unbuttoned at the collar. 28 years old and already running half of Seoul's underground empire. Beautiful in that dangerous way that should come with warning labels, sharp jawline, intense dark eyes, perfectly styled hair that her fingers had destroyed hours ago. "You're awake," he said, voice smooth like expensive whiskey. "Good. We have dinner with my father tonight. You'll need to be ready by 7. It's barely noon." Her voice came out hoarse and raw, and he was the cause. "Which gives us 7 hours. He closed the door behind him with a soft click that made her stomach flip. "I have plans for at least 3 of them. Hyun-tae, I need rest. You need me." He crossed the room, each step deliberate and predatory. "Your body knows it even if your mind hasn't accepted it yet. I saw the way you responded this morning, Camille. The way you said my name. That wasn't pretending. This isn't normal." The constant. She gestured helplessly between them. "People don't. Normal people don't." His hand cupped her face, thumb tracing her bottom lip with possessive gentleness. "But I've never pretended to be normal. I told you what this marriage would be. What I would be, and you signed the contract anyway. Because she'd had no choice. Because her brother, Williams, was facing 15 years in a Korean prison for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, caught up in gang violence he had nothing to do with. Because Baek Hyun-tae had appeared like a devil with a deal, marry me for 1 year and your brother walks free. She'd thought she could handle it. Thought a year of playing wife to a Mafia heir was survivable. She hadn't known about the hunger. The obsession. The way he looked at her like letting her out of his sight might kill him. Hey my darlings, welcome to another story that'll have you questioning everything you know about sacrifice, obsession, and the price of saving the people you love. Today I'm bringing you Camille Carter's impossible choice. Marry a Korean Mafia heir to free her brother from false charges, only to discover that freedom for him meant captivity for her. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from and whether you've ever sacrificed something precious for family. Hit that like button, share, and subscribe because this story gets darker and more addictive with every twist. Your support means the world. Now, let's find out how Camille ended up here. For weeks earlier, Camille sat in a holding room at Seoul Metropolitan Police Station, watching her baby brother through reinforced glass. Williams looked small in the orange jumpsuit. 20 years old, a sophomore at Howard, and pre-med student with a 3.9 GPA. He shouldn't be here. Shouldn't be caught up in Korean gang violence just because he'd been studying abroad and walked through the wrong alley at the wrong time. "They're saying I was involved in a gang shooting," Williams said through the phone, his voice shaking. "Camille, I don't even know these people. I was just walking to the library when I heard gunshots, I ran, and then police arrested me because I was near the scene." "I know, baby. I know." Camille pressed her hand against the glass, wishing she could reach through and protect him like she'd been doing since their parents died when she was 18 and Williams was 12. "The lawyer says the evidence is circumstantial. The evidence is fabricated," Williams cut in, angry tears in his eyes. "Someone's framing me, Camille. The prosecution has witnesses saying I was with the shooters. They have my fingerprints on a gun I've never touched. I'm looking at 15 years. 15 years. Her brilliant little brother, rotting in a foreign prison for crimes he didn't commit. Camille had spent 2 weeks frantically searching for solutions. Hired lawyers who smiled sympathetically and said the Korean justice system was complicated. Called the American embassy who offered condolences but no real help. Watched her savings disappear into legal fees while Williams' trial date approached. Then she received a phone call from a man named Mr. Choi. Miss Carter, I represent someone who can help your brother. Someone with considerable influence in Seoul. He'd like to meet you. The restaurant was exclusive, the kind of place Camille couldn't afford to breathe in. Mr. Choi led her to a private room where a young man sat alone, reviewing documents with the focus of someone who controlled empires. Baek Hyun-tae looked up when she entered. Camille's breath caught. He was younger than she'd expected to devastatingly handsome. His cold eyes were assessing and stripped her bare in 3 seconds. Miss Carter, please sit. His English was perfect, barely accented. I understand your brother is in trouble. You understand correctly. Camille remained standing, defensive. Mr. Choi said you could help. Why would you? Because I can. Because I want something in return. Because he gestured to the chair. Please. This conversation goes better if you're comfortable. She sat on the edge of the chair, spine straight and ready to run. Hyun-tae slid a folder across the table. Your brother was framed by the Kim brothers, a rival organization trying to embarrass my family. The gun with his fingerprints were planted. The witnesses? Paid. The prosecutor is also in their pocket. Williams is collateral damage in a war he doesn't even know exists. Camille's hands shook as she opened the folder. It was evidence, photos, and financial records. Everything needed to prove Williams' innocence. Why are you showing me this? Because I'm offering you a trade. Hyun-tae leaned back, studying her with unnerving intensity. I can make this case disappear. Have your brother on a plane back to America within 72 hours, all charges dropped. His record clean and his future intact. In exchange for what? Marriage. To me. For 1 year. Camille laughed in disbelief. You're insane. I'm practical. He didn't smile. My father wants me to settle down, present a respectable image for business expansion into the United States. An American wife provides valuable connections, good optics. You need your brother freed. I need a wife for appearances. It's mutually beneficial. Mutually beneficial? Camille stood abruptly. You're asking me to sell myself. I'm asking you to sign a contract. His voice hardened. 1 year as my wife. You'll live in my home, attend events at my side, maintain the appearance of a legitimate marriage. In return, Williams walks free and you'll receive a settlement of $5 million when the year ends. That's enough to finish your degree at Columbia, pay off every debt, start whatever life you want. What does maintain the appearance of a legitimate marriage mean? Something dark flickered in Hyun-tae's eyes. It means you'll be my wife in every sense. I don't do half measures, Miss Carter. If you agree to this, you belong to me completely for 1 year. No locked doors, no refusals, and no separate lives. Is that clear enough? Camille's stomach twisted. That's not marriage. That's ownership. Call it whatever helps you sleep at night. He stood, buttoning his suit jacket with precise movements. You have 24 hours to decide. After that, Williams's trial proceeds. The evidence I have disappears and your brother serves 15 years for crimes he didn't commit. Your choice. That night, Camille called Williams. Told him she loved him and told him to trust her. Assured him everything would be okay even though she had no idea if she was lying. The next day, she signed Baek Hyun-tae's contract with shaking hands and a prayer that she was strong enough to survive whatever came next. What Camille didn't know, what she couldn't have known, was that in a penthouse office across Seoul, Baek Hyun-tae was reviewing her file with his head of security. Background is clean, Minesio reported. Camille Carter, 26, psychology major at Columbia, working on her PhD. Parents died 8 years ago. She's been raising her brother since. No criminal record. What about romantic history? Hyuntae asked, eyes fixed on Camille's photo. Just one long-term boyfriend in college that ended 3 years ago. A few casual relationships since. Nothing serious. Good. Hyuntae closed the file. Make sure the apartment we provide is comfortable. Top floor of the East Wing with full surveillance. Sir, forgive me, but why her? You could have any woman. Why go through this arrangement? Hyuntae was quiet for a long moment. Because I need someone desperate enough to stay. Camille Carter is desperate, but honest. She'll hate me, probably, but at least it'll be real. Not some fake affection just to gain something. And if she can't handle your intensity, then she'll be like all the others. Hyuntae's smile was sharp as broken glass. Except this time, she's contractually obligated to stay. At least for a year. That should be interesting. The wedding happened in a private ceremony at Hyuntae's family compound. Camille wore a white dress, signed papers in front of stone-faced witnesses, and felt her life slip away with every stroke of the pen. Hyuntae's father, Baek Sang-min, studied her with eyes that missed nothing. You're brave, coming here. Or foolish. My son has particular needs. Intense appetites that the women before you couldn't handle. They left traumatized. He leaned close, breath smelling of expensive cigars. You have 1 year to survive it. The compound itself was a fortress disguised as luxury. 20-foot walls. Armed guards in expensive suits and cameras everywhere. Mrs. Han, the head housekeeper, showed Camille to her room with a sympathy that felt like a warning. The master suite is on the 6th floor. Your quarters are here, 5th floor. You'll be expected to join Mr. Baek for dinner at 8 every evening. Breakfast at 7 on weekends when he's not traveling. Where's he traveling to? Mrs. Han's expression was carefully blank. Business. Mr. Baek has many interests. It's better not to ask too many questions, Miss Camille. That first night alone in her beautiful prison, Camille explored her room. King-size bed with silk sheets. Bathroom with heated marble floors. Walk-in closet already filled with designer clothes in her exact size. And when she tried the door to the hallway, she found it unlocked, but 2 guards stationed immediately outside. For your protection, one said when she asked. Protection. Or to make sure she couldn't leave. At 2 in the morning, she heard footsteps outside her door stopping right outside. She held her breath, waiting for the door to open, but it didn't. Just footsteps, then silence. She didn't sleep that night, or the next, or the one after that. On the 4th night, Hyuntae finally came to her room. He knocked, which surprised her, then entered before she could respond. He wore casual clothes, black pants, gray shirt, but somehow still looked like he could command armies. His eyes found her sitting on the bed, and something in his expression made her breath catch. You've been avoiding me, he observed, closing the door with a soft click. You went on business trips, I was told. I was giving you time to adjust. He crossed the room slowly. But the adjustment period is over, Camille. Tonight, this marriage will become real. Her heart hammered. I need more time. You've had 4 days. He sat on the edge of the bed, close enough to touch but not touching. I've been patient. But patience isn't my strong suit, and I've been thinking about you constantly, wondering if I made a good investment or not. I'm not some experiment. Aren't you? His hand reached out, tucking a strand of her hair behind her ear with surprising gentleness. A trade? A contract? A year of your life in exchange for your brother's freedom? That makes you exactly an experiment, Camille. The question is what kind. And what kind do you think I am? I think you're terrified but stubborn. I think you'll fight me even when you want to surrender. I think his thumb traced her cheekbone. I think you have no idea what you've agreed to, but you're about to learn. When he kissed her, it wasn't gentle. It was claiming, consuming, like he'd been holding back for 4 days and now the dam had broken. Camille tried to remember this was just a contract, just an arrangement, just survival. But when his hands found her skin, when his weight pressed her into expensive sheets, when he whispered her name like a plea, she forgot everything except the overwhelming reality of him. Hours later, 3, 4, Camille lay in the ruins of her composure, body aching, mind spinning. Hyuntae held her against his chest with arms that felt like possession made physical. "Sleep," he commanded softly. "We have breakfast with my father tomorrow. You'll need your strength." "Does it always?" Her voice was wrecked. "Is it always this intense? This?" He sounded amused. "This was me being gentle, being careful, being considerate of your inexperience with someone like me." His arms tightened. "It gets much more intense, Camille. You'll see." She fell asleep thinking he was exaggerating. Woke 6 hours later to his hands on her again, and realized with dawning horror that he wasn't. The first week established a pattern that made Camille understand why previous women had fled. Hyuntae was insatiable. Not just physically, though that appetite was relentless enough to leave her exhausted every morning. But emotionally, mentally, he consumed every space she tried to carve out for herself every single day. "I need space," she finally said on day 8, standing in his office while he reviewed shipping manifests. "This is too much. You're too much." He looked up from his papers, expression unreadable. "Too much how?" "Too intense. Too constant. Too," she gestured helplessly. "I can't breathe, Hyuntae. You're everywhere. In my room, in my phone, in my head. I need time alone. Time to think." "What do you need to think about?" "Anything other than you." He was silent. Long enough to make her nervous. Then he stood, walking around the desk with that predatory grace that always made her pulse spike. "No. No. No, you don't get space. No, you don't get time alone. No, you don't get to think about anything except us." He backed her against the wall, hands on either side of her head, caging her in. "You signed a contract, Camille. You agreed to be my wife. That means you belong to me. Every hour, every thought, every breath. I won't apologize for claiming what's mine. I'm not a possession. Aren't you?" His mouth found her neck, the sensitive spot below her ear that he'd learned by heart. "I bought your brother's freedom. I'm paying you $5 million. By definition, you're exactly a possession. The question is whether you fight it or accept it." "That's insane." "You're insane. Probably." He pulled back to look at her, eyes burning with that intensity that simultaneously terrified and attracted her. "But you knew what I was when you signed. And Camille? Deep down, in places you don't want to admit, you like it. The attention. The obsession. Being the absolute center of someone's world. Because you've spent 8 years taking care of everyone else, and no one's taken care of you until now." He kissed her before she could argue, lifted her onto his desk with papers scattering everywhere, and proceeded to prove his point in ways that left her gasping his name and hating how right he was. Before we continue, hit that subscribe button if you're already invested in Camille's story. Drop a like if you're conflicted about Hyuntae. Is he romantic or terrifying? Both? Comment below where you're watching from and whether you think Camille can survive this. Now, let's see how much darker this gets. Week 2 brought Mrs. Han with gentle warnings and specialties. The older woman found Camille in the kitchen one afternoon, staring blankly at nothing, exhausted beyond words. The previous wives, Camille asked suddenly. What happened to them? Mrs. Han hesitated, then sat down with a heavy sigh. Mr. Beck has been engaged 3 times before but never married them. The first woman lasted 6 months before her family pulled her out and said she was having nervous breakdowns. The second one made it 4 months. Left in the middle of the night, got on a plane, and never looked back. The third, Mrs. Han's expression grew darker. She tried to kill herself with sleeping pills. We found her in time, but barely. Her parents sued for breach of contract and settled out of court. She's in a psychiatric facility in Switzerland now. Camille's blood went cold. What did he do to them? Nothing violent or illegal. Mrs. Hahn struggled for words. He loved them too much. Wanted them too much. Mr. Beck doesn't know how to care for someone in moderation. He consumes and eventually, they all break under the weight of being his entire world. Why didn't anyone warn me? Would you have believed us? Would it have changed your decision? Mrs. Hahn's eyes were sad. You signed that contract to save your brother. You would have signed anything. We all knew that. That night, Camille tried to establish boundaries. I need 2 nights a week alone. In my own room by myself. Hyuntae looked at her like she'd spoken a foreign language. They were in his bedroom, their bedroom now, since he'd moved all her things there without asking, and he was unbuttoning his shirt after a business dinner. No, it's not a request. It's a requirement. And I said no. He crossed to her, cupped her face with hands that could be gentle or firm depending on his mood. I need you every night, Camille. Not some nights. Every night. When I close my eyes, you're there. When I wake up, you're there. That's not negotiable. That's not healthy. I never claimed to be healthy. His thumb traced her bottom lip. I claim to be obsessed. There's a difference. Healthy would be letting you have space, respecting boundaries, giving you freedom. But I can't do that. I won't do that. Because the thought of you sleeping somewhere else, in another room, without me, his jaw clenched. It makes me want to burn the entire compound down just so there's nowhere else for you to go. You need help. Therapy. I have you. That's all the help I need. Week 3 brought the first real test. Hyuntae had business in Busan for 3 days. He wanted Camille to come. I can't, she said firmly. I have video calls scheduled with Williams. He's worried about me. I need to show him I'm okay. Reschedule them. No. Hyuntae, I haven't seen my brother in 3 weeks. I need to talk to him alone. Without you hovering. Something dangerous flickered in his eyes. You want to be alone with your brother? I want one video call without you listening to every word. Fine. He stood abruptly. But I'm installing cameras in your room. And I'll be watching. That's insane. That's the compromise. His voice was steel. Either I stay here with you or I watch from Busan. Your choice. She chose the cameras because at least he'd be physically gone. It felt like a victory until she realized 3 days without him meant 3 days of constant video surveillance, hourly check-in texts, and phone calls every evening that lasted until she fell asleep with him still on the line. The separation seemed to break something in him. When he returned from Busan, Hyuntae was different. More intense, more possessive. He made love to her like he was branding ownership, like 3 days apart had been 3 years, like he was making up for lost time with compound interest. Don't ever make me leave you again, he whispered against her throat, hours into their reunion. Do you understand? You're not optional anymore, Camille. Week 4 brought an observation that terrified her more than anything else. She was adapting. Her body had learned his rhythms. Started craving his touch during the hours he was gone. She'd catch herself checking her phone for his texts, feeling empty when they didn't come. Looking forward to dinner because it meant seeing him. Stockholm Syndrome, she told herself firmly. Trauma bonding. Classic psychological response to captivity. But it felt like more. It felt like drowning and not wanting to be saved. One night, alone in their bathroom while he slept, Camille realized she's losing herself. She don't recognize the woman in the mirror. She wears clothes he picks out, eats food he orders, sleeps when he allows it, exists in the spaces between his demands. And the worst part? She's starting to like it. Starting to crave the intensity she should be running from. The bathroom door opened. Hyuntae stood there, hair tousled from sleep, eyes alert despite the hour. What are you doing? Nothing, she answered. Just processing. Let me hear it. It's nothing. He crossed the bathroom in 2 strides, hand extended. Camille. No, you don't get access to everything. His expression shifted, hurt flashing across his features before shuddering behind cold control. You want to leave? I'm processing my feelings. His voice dropped dangerously low. Do you really think I'm that stupid? That I don't know you're looking for an exit. I signed a contract for 1 year. Of course, I'm thinking about after. No, he backed her against the sink, hands on either side of her, trapping. You don't get to plan your exit while you're still here. You don't get to live half in, half out. Either you're my wife or you're not. Either you're present or you're not. Choose. That's not fair. Life isn't fair. Marriage isn't fair. I'm not fair. His forehead pressed against hers, breath mingling, intimate and threatening. But I'm yours for this year completely. And I need the same from you. Not your body going through motions while your mind plans escape. All of you, Camille or nothing. She looked into his eyes and saw desperation beneath the control. Fear beneath the possessiveness. A man terrified of being left, so he clutched tighter, loved harder, demanded more. And some broken part of her recognized it. Understood it. Wanted to fix it even knowing she'd destroy herself trying. What if I can't give you all of me? Then I'll take what I can get and pretend it's enough. His kiss was soft. But we both know that's a lie. That night, he made love to her differently. Like he was memorizing her. Like he knew she was already half gone, and he was trying to pull her back through sheer force of will and overwhelming sensation. And Camille, God help her, let him. Let him pull her under. Let herself drown in the intensity of being the absolute center of someone's obsessive universe. Because after 8 years of taking care of everyone else, of being strong and responsible and alone, there was something addictive about being consumed. About mattering so much to someone that they'd burn the world down rather than lose you. Even if that person was slowly burning you down in the process. Week 5 shattered everything. Rival gang members breached the compound walls at 3 in the morning. Camille woke to gunfire, screaming, and Hyuntae's body covering hers before she'd even fully processed what was happening. Stay down, he commanded, already moving. He pulled a gun from a hidden panel in the nightstand, checked the chamber with practiced efficiency. Get in the bathroom. Lock the door and don't come out until I get you. What's happening? The Kim family. They're making a move. More gunfire, closer now. Glass shattering downstairs. Camille, bathroom. Now. She ran and locked herself in the marble bathroom while chaos erupted outside. Gunshots, shouting in rapid Korean. Heavy footsteps running past the bedroom door. She huddled in the bathtub with her phone clutched in shaking hands, texting Williams, I love you. If something happens, I love you. 20 minutes felt like 20 hours. Then the bathroom door exploded inward. Not Hyuntae, but someone else, and he was holding a gun. Beck's American wife, the man said in accented English. You're coming with us. Camille screamed. Scrambled backward. The man reached for her. And dropped, a bullet hole blooming in his forehead. Hyuntae stood in the doorway, gun raised, expression absolutely empty. The control she'd seen him maintain, the civilization he wore like a mask, gone. This was the real man underneath. The killer. The monster. The Mafia heir who'd been raised for violence. Don't look at him, Hyuntae said softly, stepping over the body, holstering his weapon. Look at me. Only me. She couldn't stop shaking. Couldn't process that a dead man was sprawled on an expensive tile 3 feet away. Couldn't. Hyuntae lifted her out of the tub, carried her past the body, through the bedroom, down the hall. His security team had secured the compound. For rival gang members dead. 2 of his men were injured. He took her to a safe room she didn't know existed, locked them in together, and finally set her down. Are you hurt? His hands moved over her, checking for injuries with clinical precision. Did he touch you? Did anyone? You killed him. Her voice sounded far away. Right in front of me. You just. I'd kill 1,000 men to keep you safe. No hesitation nor remorse. Do you understand? There is nothing I wouldn't do, no line I wouldn't cross, no law I wouldn't break to protect you. This is your world. Violence, death, this is what you are. Yes. He cupped her face, forcing her to meet his eyes. This is what I am. This is what you married. And Camille? This is what keeps you alive. My violence. My absolute refusal to let anything hurt you. She should have been horrified. Should have used this moment to demand her freedom, break the contract, run as far and fast as possible. Instead, she kissed him fiercely, needing to feel alive after brushing so close to death. And Hyuntae responded like a man starving, like nearly losing her had broken whatever careful control he'd been maintaining. They made love on the floor of the safe room, surrounded by weapons and emergency supplies, and it was raw and desperate and more honest than anything before. Because the masks were gone, the pretense stripped away. This was who they were, a woman trying to survive and a man trying to keep her even if it meant consuming her completely. Hours later, wrapped in blankets, Camille finally asked the previous women, "Did this happen to them?" No. This is the first time anyone's breached the compound in 5 years. The Kim family is getting desperate. He tightened his arms around her. But they've made a critical mistake. They've shown me how vulnerable you are. And now I have to fix that. Fix it how? By never letting you out of my sight again. She pulled back to look at him. Hyuntae, that's not possible. I'll make it possible. Renovate the compound. You'll have a bodyguard team. Anywhere you go, they go. And when I travel, you travel with me. No more separations. No more distance. I can't protect you if you're not close. That's not protection. That's imprisonment. Call it whatever helps you sleep. His eyes were hard yet determined. But I will not lose you. I will not attend your funeral because I was careless about security. I will not, his voice cracked. I can't lose you, Camille. I can't. The vulnerability beneath the obsession broke something in her. Made her see him differently. Not just the controlling Mafia heir, but a man terrified of abandonment. Terrified that everyone he cared about eventually left, so he held tighter and tighter until they had no choice but to flee. I'm not going anywhere, she heard herself say. I'm right here. For now. But the contract expires in 47 weeks. And then you leave. You take your $5 million and disappear from my life like I'm a bad memory you're erasing. That was the deal. Fuck the deal. He pulled her close again, face buried in her neck. I want you to stay. Really stay. Not because of a contract, but because you want to. Because he stopped. Couldn't say it. Because you love me, Camille finished silently. That's what he meant. That's what he couldn't say because saying it would make him too vulnerable, would give her too much power. But the truth was written in every obsessive gesture, every controlling demand, every moment of overwhelming intensity. Baek Hyuntae loved her. The question was whether Camille was falling for him too, or whether her mind was just adapting to captivity by reframing prison as paradise. She didn't have an answer. Wasn't sure she wanted one. In the days after the attack, Hyuntae's obsession reached new heights. He had her moved into his personal office during business meetings so she'd be in his sightline. Installed her in the corner of his gym so he could see her while working out. Had meals delivered to wherever he was working so they could eat together. This is too much, she finally exploded during week 6. I can't even shower without security outside the door. I can't breathe without you knowing about it. This isn't marriage, Hyuntae. This is surveillance. They were in his office late at night. Just the two of them. He looked up from contracts he was reviewing with that infuriating calm that made her want to scream. The Kim family is still a threat. The Kim family hasn't made a move in 2 weeks. Because they're planning their next one. He set down his pen, giving her his full attention. Camille, you don't understand how this world works. The attack wasn't random. They wanted to take you to use as leverage against me. And they'll try again. So yes, you have security. Yes, I watch you. Yes, I keep you close. Because the alternative is you dead or kidnapped, and I'd rather you hate me for being controlling than mourn you for being careless. I can't live like this. I'm going insane. Then go insane. His voice hardened. But you're going insane safe. Under my protection. In my sight. What about what I need? What do you need, Camille? He stood, circling the desk to stand in front of her. Tell me, what do you need that I'm not giving you? Freedom. Choice. The ability to make one decision without you overriding it. To exist as my own person instead of an extension of you. Her voice broke with frustration. I need to feel like Camille Carter still exists somewhere underneath all of this. Something flickered in his expression. Pain, maybe. Or understanding. Come with me. He led her through corridors she'd never seen, down to the third floor she'd been told was restricted. Used a keycard and biometric scan to open heavy doors. Inside was a massive library. It was beautiful with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Seoul's night skyline. This is yours, he said quietly. Your space. I'll stay out unless you invite me. No cameras, no surveillance, just yours. Camille walked through the room, touching leather-bound books, running her fingers over a desk positioned perfectly to catch natural light. Art supplies. A laptop. Everything she'd mentioned missing from her old life before the marriage. Why? Because you're right. I'm consuming you. And if I don't give you space to breathe, you'll suffocate. He stayed by the door, hands in his pockets, looking almost uncertain. I don't know how to love people in moderation, Camille. Everyone I've ever cared about has left because I hold too tight. My mother left when I was 7 because my father was obsessive. The women I tried to marry all fled. And you, he stopped. You're the first person who didn't run in the first month. But I can feel you wanting to. So this is me trying. Badly. But trying. Camille turned to face him, this beautiful, damaged man who loved like wildfire. I need 2 afternoons a week alone. No check-ins. No texts. Just silence. His jaw clenched. Every instinct screaming against it. She could see the war in his eyes. Okay. Tuesday and Thursday afternoons. 3 hours each. This room is yours. Each word cost him. But Camille? Everywhere else, you're still mine. And I need you to accept that this is the best I can do. This is my compromise. It wasn't enough. Wasn't healthy. Wasn't normal by any definition. But it was something. A crack in the absolute control. An admission that he knew he was destroying her and wanted to stop, even if he didn't know how. Okay, she whispered. We try. The next Tuesday, Camille spent 3 hours alone in her library. No interruptions. No texts. When she emerged, Hyuntae was waiting in the hallway, looking like those 3 hours had been 3 years. How was it? He asked, falling into step beside her. Good. I read a lot. Thought about things and remembered who I used to be. And? Did you like who you used to be better? Dangerous question. Honest answer? I don't know. She seems like a stranger now. Like someone I was pretending to be before I met you. His hand found hers squeezed. Is that bad? I don't know that either. Week 7 brought another shift. Williams video called unexpectedly, catching Camille during dinner with Hyuntae. Hey sis, sorry, I know it's late there, but William stopped, seeing Hyuntae in frame. Oh. Hi. I can call back. No, it's fine. Camille glanced at Hyuntae, expecting him to make an excuse to listen. Instead, he stood. I have calls to make. Take your time. He pressed a kiss to her temple. I'll be in my office. He left. Actually left. Gave her privacy without being asked. Okay, who is that and what did he do with your controlling husband? Williams asked when they were alone. He's trying. Learning boundaries, sort of. Camille, real talk. Are you okay? Like, actually okay? You look tired and different. She wanted to lie. To protect him from the truth about what she'd sacrificed for his freedom. But looking at her baby brother, healthy and safe and back at school, made the cost feel almost worth it. I'm surviving. Some days are hard. Some days are, she paused. Some days aren't as terrible as I expected. He's complicated, Williams. Not evil. Just damaged and obsessive and doesn't know how to love people without consuming them. That doesn't sound healthy. It's not. But 9 months and 3 weeks from now, I'll be free. $5 million and my life back. That's the plan. Williams was quiet for a moment. And what if you don't want to leave when the year's up? That's ridiculous. Of course I'll want to leave. Camille, I can see your face. The way you talk about him. You're falling for him. I'm not, I'm adapting. Stockholm Syndrome. Or maybe you found someone who sees you. Really sees you. And yeah, he's obsessive and controlling, but for 8 years you've been invisible. Taking care of me, taking care of everyone, being strong for everybody else. Maybe being the center of someone's world feels good even when it's overwhelming. After they hung up, Camille sat in the empty dining room thinking about her brother's words. Was she falling for Hyuntae? Or was she just so starved for attention, so exhausted from always being strong, that his obsession felt like love? She found him in his office an hour later, still working through contracts. Williams says I'm falling for you, she announced from the doorway. Hyuntae's pen stopped moving. Are you? I don't know. How do you tell the difference between real feelings and psychological adaptation to captivity? Maybe you can't. Maybe it doesn't matter. He set down his pen, giving her his full attention. Does it change how you feel? Shouldn't it? Probably. But feelings don't follow logic, Camille. Trust me, I've tried. He stood, crossed to her. I know what this is. I know I've manipulated circumstances, controlled your environment, isolated you from everything familiar. I know that what you feel might be manufactured by proximity, but he cupped her face. I don't care. I'll take manufactured feelings over losing you. Is that evil? Probably. And yet you're still here. I signed a contract. You could break it. Claim duress or coercion. My lawyers would fight it, but you'd probably win. So why stay? Camille searched his face, looking for the answer. Because some part of me doesn't want to leave. And I don't know if that makes me brave or broken. Maybe both. He kissed her softly. Maybe it doesn't matter which. That night, their intimacy was different. Not desperate or consuming. Almost tender. Like they'd reached some unspoken understanding. Like they were both acknowledging the impossibility of what they were building and choosing it anyway. Week 8 brought the first major test of their new boundaries. Hyuntae had to travel to Tokyo for 3 days for unavoidable business. Come with me, he said, though it sounded more like begging than demanding. No, I need time here. In my library, in my space. We agreed. Every muscle in his body tensed. The obsessive part of him screaming against separation. But finally, okay. But Camille. I know. Check-ins. I'll text you every morning and night. Video call if you need it. But you have to trust me to be okay without you hovering. I don't trust the world to keep you safe without me. Then trust me to keep myself safe. He left for Tokyo looking like a man going to war. Texted her 17 times the first day. Called 3 times. By day 2, he was down to 6 texts and 1 call. It was progress. Camille spent the time rediscovering herself, reading books. Painted, something she hadn't done since before her parents died. Talked to Williams for 2 hours about his classes, his girlfriend, his normal life that felt like another universe. And she missed Hyuntae. Hated admitting it, but she did. Missed his intensity. The way he looked at her like she was his entire world. The security of knowing someone cared that obsessively. When he returned on day 4, Hyuntae found her in the library. He didn't speak, just pulled her into his arms and held her like he'd been drowning and she was air. I missed you, she admitted against his chest. Don't ever make me leave again. His voice was rough. 3 days felt like 3 years. I functioned, but I didn't live. Do you understand? Without you, I just exist. If you're feeling this story, drop that like button now. Share this with someone who loves complicated, intense romance. Subscribe because the twist coming in the final act will break your heart. Comment and tell me, is Camille falling in love or falling apart? Both? Keep watching because everything changes next. Week 9 brought an unexpected visitor. A woman appeared at the compound gates asking for Camille. Young, beautiful Korean. Security almost turned her away until she said, "Tell Camille Carter that June Park wants to talk about surviving her husband." June. Hyuntae's second almost wife. The one who'd fled after 4 months. They met in a neutral location, a cafe in Gangnam that felt safer than the compound. June looked put together, but her hands shook when she lifted her coffee cup. "I had to warn you," she said without preamble. "Before it's too late. Before you become like me." "What happened between you and Hyuntae?" "Everything." "Nothing." "He happened." June's eyes were haunted. "It started beautiful. He made me feel like the most important person in the world. But Camille, it doesn't stop there. The intensity escalates. The obsession grows. By month 2, I couldn't go to the bathroom without him texting. Month 3, I stopped seeing my family because he needed me home. Month 4, she stopped, breathing carefully. Month 4, I tried to kill myself because I disappeared so completely into him that I couldn't remember who I was without him. Camille's blood ran cold. "Mrs. Han told me. I'm sorry that happened to you. Don't be sorry for me. Be smart for yourself. He has a pattern, Camille. He finds women, preferably ones who need something desperately. He offers salvation in exchange for complete possession. And by the time you realize what's happening, you're so deep you can't tell if what you feel is real or programmed. He's trying to be better. We've set boundaries. I have my own space now. Because you demanded it or because he calculated that giving you controlled freedom would make you stay longer?" June leaned forward. "Everything Hyuntae does is strategic. Every vulnerability is calculated. Every moment of seeming to compromise is just another way to bind you closer. You don't know him now. You knew him a year ago. People don't change, Camille. Especially not men like him. The obsession is who he is. It's in his DNA. His father is the same way. His grandfather was the same. The Park men don't love, they consume. And you," she grabbed Camille's hand. "You're already defending him. Already making excuses. That's how I know you're in deep. Deeper than I was at this point." After June left, Camille sat in the cafe processing. Was she right? Was every boundary just another manipulation? Every moment of vulnerability a calculated move to keep her trapped? She went home troubled, uncertain, and found Hyuntae in his office. "I met June today." His expression shuddered immediately. "What did she tell you?" "That you're manipulative. That every boundary is calculated. That you haven't changed at all." "And what do you think?" "I think," Camille stopped. "I think I don't know anymore. I think maybe she's right. Maybe this whole, trying to be better, act is just phase 2 of keeping me here." Hyuntae stood slowly, carefully, like approaching a wounded animal. "Do you want the truth?" "Yes. I am manipulative. I do calculate. And yes, giving you that library was partially strategic. I knew if I didn't give you space, you'd break. So I gave you controlled freedom to keep you functional longer." He didn't flinch from her expression. "But Camille, strategy and genuine feeling aren't mutually exclusive. I calculated what would keep you here, and I genuinely want you happy. I manipulate circumstances, and I'm falling in love with you. Both things are true. How am I supposed to trust anything you say? You're not. That's the point. That's what I've done to you." His voice dropped. "I've made it impossible for you to know what's real. Made you doubt your own feelings. Made you question every moment between us. And I'm sorry for that. But I'm not sorry enough to stop. Because losing you would destroy me, and I'm selfish enough to choose my survival over your certainty." The honesty was devastatingly brutal, and somehow made her trust him more than any reassurance would have. So what now? She whispered. Now you decide. June gave you an out. You could use her testimony to break the contract. Claim psychological manipulation. You'd win. You'd be free. With no money. William still needs. I'd pay anyway. $5 million. Your brother's expenses, everything. You'd lose nothing except me. Camille stared at him. You'd let me go? Just like that? No, not just like that. I'd be destroyed. Probably spiral into exactly the kind of obsessive breakdown my father had when my mother left. But I'd let you go because the alternative, keeping you here knowing you're miserable, would destroy me slower. He crossed to her, hands gentle on her face. So choose, Camille. Stay because you want to or leave because you need to. But choose knowing I'll survive either way. Barely, but I'll survive. She looked into his eyes and saw the truth. He would let her go. Would probably never recover. But he'd do it if she asked. Tell me something, she said quietly. If I stay, if I choose you knowing everything, how do I know you won't just manipulate me forever? You don't, he admitted. I'll probably always strategize. Always calculate. It's who I am. But Camille, I swear I'll try to let you see the strategy. Try to give you real choice even when every instinct screams to control everything. Try to love you like a partner instead of a possession. Try isn't good enough. Then tell me what is. Tell me what you need. Therapy. Real therapy. With a doctor I choose and sessions I control. Done. Access to your files. All of them. I see every plan, every strategy, every manipulation before you execute it. His jaw clenched. Giving up that control clearly hurt. Okay. And if I stay, it's not as your wife anymore. It's as your equal. Your partner. Someone you consult, not control. Can you do that? I don't know. But I'll try. Every day. For the rest of my life if you let me. Camille made her decision. Not because the manipulation hadn't happened. Not because she trusted him completely. Not because this was healthy or normal or anything resembling a functional relationship. But because despite everything, the plans, the control, the systematic destruction of her autonomy, some part of her had fallen for him. The real him beneath the strategy. The damaged boy who'd watched his mother leave and learned to hold so tight people suffocated. The man trying desperately to be better even when he didn't know how. That's when Camille realized something terrifying. She didn't want to leave. Not because of the money. Not because of the contract. But because somewhere in 9 weeks of intensity and obsession and overwhelming consumption, she'd started needing him too. I'm staying, she said. Not because you're manipulating me. Because I choose this. The impossible, complicated, probably unhealthy mess of what we are. His kiss tasted like relief and desperation, and something that might have been love if either of them were brave enough to name it. 6 months later, they sat across from Dr. Min, the therapist Camille had chosen. An independent, tough, and unwilling to tolerate Hyuntae's manipulation tactics. So Camille, Dr. Min said during their weekly session. 6 months after discovering the truth, how do you feel about your choice to stay? Conflicted. Some days I think I made the right choice. We're better together now. More honest, more equal. Other days I wonder if I'm just experiencing advanced Stockholm syndrome with extra steps. And Hyuntae? Have you maintained the transparency you promised? Mostly. He glanced at Camille. I've shown her 3 strategies I wanted to use to keep her happy. She vetoed 2. But I'm learning that her happiness doesn't require my management. That's progress. But mostly concerns me. What aren't you showing her? Hyuntae was quiet. Then, I bought an engagement ring. Planning to propose when the 1-year contract ends in 3 months. But I haven't told her because I'm afraid she'll see it as manipulation. Another strategy to keep her here. Camille turned to him, surprised. You want to really marry me? Not as contract. As real marriage. I want forever with you. But Camille, I don't know how to ask without it seeming like control. How do I propose to the woman I've already manipulated into loving me? By being honest. By showing me the ring and asking if I even want to be proposed to. By making it a conversation instead of a grand gesture designed to overwhelm my objections. He pulled out a small box from his pocket, opened it to reveal a stunning ring. Exactly her style. Do you want me to propose to you? He asked. If the answer is no, I'll respect it. Might destroy me, but I'll respect it. Camille looked at the ring. At him. At Dr. Min watching carefully. Ask me in 3 months. When the contract ends and I'm legally free to leave. When saying yes is definitely my choice and not about a contract or any remaining manipulation. Then I'll give you my answer. And until then? Until then, we keep working. Keep being honest. Keep building something real from the ruins of what you planned. 3 months later, on the day their contract officially ended, Hyuntae took Camille to the library, her space, and knelt with the ring. Camille Carter, will you marry me? Really marry me. Not as contract or a strategy. As equals. As partners. As two damaged people who found each other in the worst possible way and somehow made it work. She looked at him, this impossible man who'd manipulated her into loving him, then fallen into his own trap. Yes, she said. But on one condition. Anything. You don't stop loving me. He didn't hesitate. I couldn't even if I tried. So my darlings, there you have it. Camille stayed. Not because Hyuntae manipulated her into compliance, but because she chose the complicated truth over clean freedom. Drop a like if this story wrecked you in the best way. Subscribe for more complicated, intense romance that'll make you question everything. Share with friends who love morally gray relationships. And comment below, would you have stayed or left? Your answer might surprise you.